Here we have a 2005 Ford Fiesta. It's fitted with the 1.25 Zetec engine, petrol engine, and it's got roughly 131,000 miles on the clock. So the customer was out in this car and noticed it was getting a bit hot. So he pulled over and checked, and the expansion tank was empty. There was no coolant in there. So he topped it up, drove for another 10 minutes, and the same thing happened again. So it's losing coolant somewhere. So we're going to have a check over and see what we find. So I've noticed that the coolant level, well, in fact, it's a little bit too high. He's obviously just been filling it up to get himself out of trouble, get home. Straight away noticed there's a little pool of antifreeze coolant in there. So it's more than likely boiled over by the look of it. It might have overheated, maybe the fan isn't working. There are a couple of common little bits to check. There's a plastic thermostat housing which is a little bit buried underneath the alternator here, but there's a big thick pipe here and the smaller one there. They both go plug onto it under there. It's kind of between the air conditioning pump and the alternator, so it's a little bit difficult to see. And also there's the water pump, which again is very difficult to see. There's a shiny pulley you can see down there, and that is actually the water pump pulley. So after a look around the top here, I can't see any obvious problems apart from that little puddle of water there. He might have done it when he was filling the thing up, who knows. But we'll take it up in the air and see if we can see any staining or any drips from underneath. So starting at the front here, we've got the radiator, the top hose there. It all looks dry. Bottom hose here. I can't see any visible leaks. Usually you would get, this car's got like a pink antifreeze in it, so you would definitely see pink staining. The thermostat housing I was talking about, this pipe here plugs onto it, so it's actually there, a little bit difficult to see. And I would be looking around here for any staining or wetness, and it would also run down behind the air conditioning pump there, compressor. And the other part, the water pump, is that aluminium bit there, which I'll definitely be having a good look around that for any wetness. But when that goes, you tend to find that you get drips coming off the sump at the front here, or coming off of this plastic tray. But again, that looks dry. It's got a little bit of an oil leak, but from what I understand, it's been like that for years. It looks worse than it actually is. Doesn't use much oil. So yeah, there's not really a great deal to look at. Up the back here, there's a couple more hoses which go to the heater matrix through the bulkhead up there. A couple of rubber hoses, but again, it all looks dry from what I can see. So I think we'll drop it down and run it up. Oh, something else to check is make sure the fan isn't seized, but that seems to spin freely. So yeah, I think we'll drop it down, run it up to temperature, hopefully get to see the fan cutting in and out. I mean, if that has packed up, obviously that'll cause it to overheat. But I think that's the next step. Okay, so the engine's been running for a while now, 15 minutes or so. It's got quite warm, and we have noticed a little crack there. I think that might have opened up a bit where it's got hotter and under pressure. I've got some washing up liquid anyway. I was just going to put it around and see what happened. If I open that first. You know, it might show if there's any leaks on the cap as well. Ah, which look, that is bubbling there a little bit. That is tight. We might be looking at a replacement cap there. I'll probably recommend the bottle as well. I'll just give it a little rev because that kind of circulates the coolant a bit. Ah, yeah, look at the bubbles coming out of that. Yeah, I think that's going to be advisable to put a new bottle and cap on there. I've had these before, not just on Fiestas, but any car really. They do get a little bit brittle and they can split. I haven't seen one split right at the top like that though. Yeah, that's bubbling away quite a bit now as the pressure's building up in there. So I think that's going to be the next move. Put a new cap and bottle on there. But I also really want to find out whether that fan cuts in. And maybe I'll leave it running a bit longer and see what happens. Bollocks. So I've managed to get hold of an expansion tank. This is an aftermarket one, it's not a genuine one. You should be able to pick up one of these for under £30, 25 quid, something like that. I've ordered a cap as well, but unfortunately that won't be here until later, so I will screw that on afterwards when it arrives. So I think, hopefully, it's cooled down enough now, yeah, so we can make a start on stripping it down. I'll put a drain tub underneath and we'll get cracking. Well, luckily I've got this tool which I'm going to use to try and siphon some of the coolant out so I don't make too much of a mess. Obviously you could use like a turkey baster or anything you got to hand really. I've just got this laying around, it's not the best, but you don't even have to do this if you're not too worried about losing some coolant underneath the car. Just unbolt the tank and pull the pipe off and it'll run out. I thought being as I had that to hand, I'll get the worst of it out. That's it. Right, get that out of the way. So all we've got is a pipe here which should have two little buttons you can push in either side. I always push the pipe on a bit, then push the buttons in, and it releases a lot easier than just pushing them in and trying to pull it. It sort of takes the tension off of things. Tuck that out of the way. So all we've got is a 10mm bolt here, and then down the back, you can see on this one, there's a metal finger which slides up behind this. So you just have to pull it up off that. They can be quite tight actually, but I'll get this bolt out to start with. Oh, well that wasn't tight at all. There's the metal finger that it slides down on, locates on. Oh, losing a bit of coolant there. Down here it's one of those spring-loaded clips rather than a Jubilee clip. I do prefer Jubilee clips myself, but I'll get a pair of grips and see if we can get that off. Give that a little twist, they do get stuck. Okay, that's the tank, the old one. We'll have a go at refitting the new one next. So that pipe looks okay. I was just looking to see if there might be any splits in it at the end, but that's fine. So I'll grab this new tank or bottle. That's it, pushed it right on up to the stop. I'll just grab my pliers and get that clip back on next. There we go. Slide it back on there. And we've got this which should just push on. You should hear a click as it goes home. Quite a bit tight. I might put a bit of silicone spray on there to help ease it. That's it. That clicked. That's on nicely. Put a 10mm bolt back in. Okay, all that's left now is to get some coolant in there. So I just thought I'd test this before I put it back in, see how strong that is. And you can see there's only one disc floating there, which goes down to -7, which might sound a lot, but when you take into account the wind chill factor when you're driving along, it gets a lot colder on the front of the car. They usually say sort of 3 discs floating, -23, that's a good figure to be at. Generally speaking, it's like a 50-50 mix, antifreeze and water in the cooling system. Being as that's so weak, I'm just going to top it up with 1 litre of neat antifreeze. Try not to spill it everywhere. Once that's been run up and driven a bit, that'll soon mix in with everything else that's in the system and should bring it up to a good strength level. I'll put a bit of water in there to top that up. That'll do for now. As I said earlier, unfortunately the new cap hasn't arrived yet. We'll just have to wait until a bit later to run it up and pressure test it. So I got a bit impatient waiting for the coolant cap. I've actually taken the cap off my Ford Transit. Most of the Ford expansion tank caps are the same fitment, so just for test purpose, I know that's a good cap. It's holding the pressure in, which means the boiling point of the water will raise now that it's holding its pressure. As you can see, there's no leaks there. And also the cooling fan did cut in just now and ran. Temperature gauge is at normal. So all appears to be good. It was just a expansion tank and cap that's required. Now, I've put coolant in up to the maximum mark. I'm going to give it a run around the block, let it cool down, And you'll probably find once it's cooled down, that level will drop. Any air that's in the system will come out. So just to be mindful of that really, leave it overnight. Next morning, have a look, take the cap off and just top up with a little bit of antifreeze and water, whatever's required. And yeah, make sure there's no leaks on the pipes that you've taken off. Apart from that, job's a good one. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully the video's been of some help for you. And if it has, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It will help our channel out no end. Cheers.